When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Samsung big screen we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Time for that upgrade to an HD 3D web-enabled Samsung TV. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Hi, I'm John Malos. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with Me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this day. Today, the focus is on business. Hey, we'll talk about a business that's been around for more than a decade right here in the Central Valley. 436 Me TV, option 11. One small hint. It has to do with cars and trucks. Back in just a moment. Back here on the program on a Thursday morning on the showroom floor at Ventura TV. Glad to have you along. And today the focus is on business, and you can also call this kind of an Ask the Expert day, but it is. We're focusing on one business that's been around for a long time. But first, I want to mention that you are watching us on Comcast Channel 187 and 43.6 and now 13.1 live. This is a call-in show, 436 Me TV, option 11. Hey, later in the day, you can't call in because it's on tape. The replay is at 2 o'clock, 13.6 YouTube, and 8 o'clock again tonight, 13.5. That would be Biz TV. Anyway, some tips now on how to buy a new car. Now, believe me, my friends, I have bought many new cars, but I am no expert. And the game is changing each and every year with buying a new car. We have somebody in the house here that may be able to help you with that and also talk about the service department. Let's roll the videotape, show you exactly what I'm talking about on this day on Connect with Me. This is the dealership at Kitahara Buick and GMC. It's been around for more than a decade now, specializing, of course, in those two different brands. One of the first things on the to-do list is to determine what kind of car you want and what kind of car you want to go for. Get an approved loan for a specific car, and you may want to price your car against a possible trade-in on the car that you already own. Now, there is no doubt sometimes the car that you really want, in fact that's most cases, may not be the car that you're able to afford at that time. So have a second choice in mind. Might be a good idea to make a list of cars that you actually can afford to buy. Then you can choose one. Kind of like buying a house, right? Also, what about buying used cars? And what about the dealership service itself? What about that department? Are they friendly? Are they helpful? Are they reliable and dependable? Will they take care of your car after the purchase? Can you trust them? How do you know for sure? These are all, difficult decisions. You have to ask around and, get some opinions from people that have the experience. Live in our studio now is Steve Sweet. He is the longtime service manager at Kitahara Buick and GMC. He's here to answer any and all your questions about car buying, used cars, hey, specifically the service department at Kitahara and how this whole business started. We're going to take your phone calls. We have an open line, 436 Me TV, option 11. Steve is here. You are there. We're back in just a moment.
Attention all units. We have reports of 2 motorcycle cops protecting California's highway.
That's for us, good buddy.
The Men of Chips are on Me TV.
Hi, I'm John Baker. I'm John Baker. It's Officer Baker.
He's the blonde one.
Hi there!
Officer Poncherello, ma'am.
Frank Poncherello.
Oh, I'm Frank Poncherello.
And he's the one who's Eric Estrada.
There's no way I wouldn't remember a name like that.
Catch the blonde one and the one who's Eric Estrada.
Now on
Chips.
Me TV Fresno, Xfinity 187.
We're back here on the show on Connect with Me on Me TV Fresno, and we're happy to have along Steve Sweet. He is the service manager at Kitahara Buick and GMC. First time appearance here, and hey, how's the owner doing? Pretty good?
Very well.
Good.
He's actually on vacation right now in Hawaii.
He is, with family and friends. Well,
Yep.
how dare he, right?
Yes.
Hey,
Leaving us here.
you're stuck here.
Yep. That's why I'm here.
That's why you look like you got that Hawaii tan, though. I got to tell you.
I'm outside a lot.
You're outside. All right. Hey, Steve. You know, I've never been on the lot over there at Kitahara. I've seen a lot of the ads and driven by there many times. My parents used to own Buicks and GMCs and this and that. So when you're out buying a car, I know you're not a car salesman per se. Your area of expertise is the service department, but you've been around the car industry for how long now?
Over 30 years.
30 years. What should people do what are the steps they should take when they want to buy a new car? Because is it a little more difficult these days to buy a new car? Is there more involved?
Actually, it's not more difficult. I would actually say it's probably easier now than it was several years ago.
But you have more choices now.
But there's more choices, even though some car lines are gone. But the biggest thing is figure out what you really want, and then do some investigation on the vehicles that you're interested, that you think you might want. Getting some more detailed information about them. You look online. I mean, there's a lot of resources to try and pull from to get information about vehicles. So once you determine what you really want and you've looked at what you kind of want, then go to the dealerships and talk to salesmen, because the salesmen are really not there to be a high pressure salesman. They're really there to help you find out what you really want. And they can tell you a lot more of the features of the vehicles than you probably will find out trying to get from the resources.
Right, so do your homework online first. Just look around online and see what cars appeal to you, maybe what cars you can afford. But when you go, I have this, I'm envisioning this, and maybe a lot of people that watch this station and these programs, maybe they're about my age, maybe a little younger. We envision going into a car lot and, we get swarmed by these car salesmen. And is it still like that or not like that anymore?
And not so much anymore.
Yeah.
Pretty much nowadays, like at our place, it's very low pressure.
Yeah.
There's no pressure really. I mean, like I say, when a salesman comes out, and usually only one guy will come out to see you when you come on the lot. And really, he's just to show you around and answer any questions that you have about the car. And then if you really are interested, you'll go inside and discuss, what we can make it, see if we can make it work out for you.
Are the car salesmen, are they well-versed in the makes and models?
Very well so. Any salesman that we hire go through a training process, and which takes classes on the models, the makes and the models of the ones we sell. And they're very detail-oriented in the features of those vehicles, especially what separates them from other brands of vehicles.
Yeah, how many different makes and models does Buick make now? I don't even know. I know they still have the Sabre, right?
No,
they don't. That's gone.
Yeah, Buick now has an Encore, which is their small SUV, so to speak.
Okay.
They have Buick has an Enclave, which is their full-size SUV, which is really more like a mid-size, but it's an upper mid-size.
Yeah.
They have a Buick LaCrosse, which is the car.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty much the line of the Buicks.
That's it.
Yeah. That's why I say they have narrowed down a lot of the models, just like, Pontiac's gone now, Oldsmobile's gone now. They're narrowing it down. We just have Buick and GMC.
Right. So Buick only has the two SUVs and the one car, right? That's called the LaCrosse. Why did they narrow it down so much? Why did they cut back?
I think to just in other words, probably to cut the cost of having to build such a variety of vehicles. They've cut it back to where it costs them less to build so many vehicles, and the focus on the people that are buying those vehicles has changed over the years.
How so?
Just the different generations, the new generations that are coming up, and so the growth of the market is in the younger generation right now, and their desires for the type of vehicles is totally different than people from 20 years ago.
Yeah. How did the American companies like Buick and GMC, and I know Pontiac and Oldsmobile. They're gone now, which is hard to believe, isn't it? After
Yeah,
all
it
these
is.
years,
Yep.
can't believe you can't go in and buy a Pontiac anymore. It's unbelievable. So how do the American companies compete against some of the foreign models like Toyota and Honda and some of those others?
We compete very well with them. And the always for years, I mean, it was always like an issue where it was like a quality issue. Are the American cars as good as some of the Japanese cars?
Yeah.
But anymore, if you read the
Fine print.
consumer fine print stuff, the consumer, I'll say it that way. When you look at all the stuff on the vehicles nowadays, quality of the American cars is equal to or exceeding the Japanese cars now.
They've caught up then.
Yeah, they've caught up.
In the technology you're talking about.
Technology and the quality of the product itself.
And the reliability. So in a
yeah.
LaCrosse, you can go, hey, if you can go in a Toyota 200,000, which has always been the claim, hey, go 200,000 in our, can you go 200,000 miles in a LaCrosse?
Oh yeah.
If you change the oil every three to 5,000 or whatever
Nowadays,
it is.
in any of the vehicles, if you maintain it, it definitely will
It's
go
gonna go.
200,000.
Yeah, okay. Caller, hey, you're on the air on Connect with Me. Go ahead.
Yeah, question real quick, and with your guest. Now, they have an abundance of cars and vehicles. What I like about them is that they don't have the salesman come at you, face, I was, you come in here and I knew you were going to get this car and all that. So there's not a lot of pressure as far as the salesman is concerned. There's a good rapport, and then, of course, they don't get the buyer to buy that car. They'll take them around and say what your needs are and whatnot, and the service. When you need your car service, they're excellent and all that.
Have you been to? Hey, caller. Have you been to Kitahara?
Yeah.
Have you been to Kitahara?
Yes, I have. So
okay.
That's all I'll say. But they're excellent. I don't want to put the other car lots down or anything.
Yeah.
But that's why they've been together for so long. They're just look at him. He's always happy, and he talks to the people the way they should be talked to.
Yeah.
Not demanding that you do this and that. You listen to the problems that they have. If they have a vehicle problem and all that, that's the way they are. And to be together for 30 years and all that, that tells you something about the Buicks and whatnot, and the car Kitahara. And the thing is that I've been there long enough. So
quickly, caller, do you have a quick question? And then because we got to go to break.
Okay, a real quick question is, are your salesmen younger nowadays or older?
Yeah.
That's all I want to ask.
Hey, that's a good
Actually, that there is a younger generation of salesmen that we have on our staff that are, again,
sharp, huh?
still very sharp.
Yeah.
But we have several younger salespersons now.
Reason for that?
I think it's just the young generation looking what to do in life, looking for something as a not just a job, but as basically a career, what they want to do for life, and a lot of them have tested it and just love it.
Yeah.
So, but we still have some of our older salesmen that have been there for many, many years.
Yeah.
But we've definitely put on some of the younger generation now.
All right, talking to Steve Sweet. He is the service manager at Kitahara Buick and GMC truck 436 MeTV option 11. We'll get into a little bit more discussion about Kitahara, the business and the service department, and what to look for. 436 MeTV option 11. Back in a moment.
The Ballad of Andy and Barney. Andy and Barney were lawmen, bravest you ever did see. Warned every crook in the record book to stay out of Mayberry. They were the law.
Yes, they were the law, and they didn't know fear.
The Andy Griffith Show.
I guess to sum it up, you could say there's 3 reasons why there's so little crime in Mayberry. There's Andy, and there's me, and baby makes 3.
Now on MeTV Fresno.
Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer, and now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
Hey, back here with our first-time guest. Hey, one thing, you know, I just met Steve just not too long ago. I have not been on their lot, but, you know, it may not seem like it, but it seems like you have a pretty good sense of humor with the customers. You do have a sense of humor off camera, so is that how you are when you're talking to the general public out there, Kit Tahara?
Well,
Kit Tahara.
Yeah. You know, the thing I have found is it enlightens everybody when, you know, I'm not trying to be a jokester at all, but, you know, being friendly and having a smile and even if you are a little bit comical sometimes, it definitely lightens the atmosphere, yeah. And
well, and I think word gets around too that, you know, if you're a friendly place, as opposed, you know, I better not mention the car dealership, but here in Fresno, but you walk in and it's like gloom and doom, and everybody's running around like their head is cut off, and they're not smiling, and they don't look happy, and so how is it at your place?
Our place is very relaxed. I mean, yeah, we have 4 service advisors in the service drive.
Yeah.
You know, customers come in and they all have a pretty good sense of humor.
Doing,
yeah, and they all like what they're doing, very much so.
All right. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Yes, 2 quick questions. Do they still sell the Regal and the Veyron? And also the other question I have is, I'm assuming you're saying that new cars can go 200,000 miles. If you can go and have that car go 200,000 miles, is there any reason to buy an extended warranty?
Good question.
Well, that is a good question. I forgot to mention that the Buick Verano is another model of a car, which is also a lesser expensive car line.
Smaller car, huh?
Yes, it's a smaller sedan.
So what about it? If a car nowadays is going to go 200,000, whether it's a Toyota, a Buick, a GMC, a Chevrolet, why buy the extended warranty?
Well, the extended warranty is basically insurance, and that's how it needs to be looked at. I mean, even though a vehicle will last 200,000 miles, that doesn't mean it may go 100% trouble-free for the 200,000 miles. It's a piece of something that's mechanically built, that has a lot of moving pieces. Anything can fail. Can fail. Something's going to fail at some time. There's no question about it. And so the question really is what's going to fail, which you can't really determine. And then if it comes to that point, are you willing to pay for the repair, or do you want basically an insurance that's going to cover it if it's beyond the factory warranties?
If you buy the extended warranty, we got another call. I'll ask you that after. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Oh, hi. You said you had a sense of humor. How much percentage of a commission do the salespeople make when they sell a car? I was always been curious about that.
Hey,
Thank you.
That's another good question. Thank you, caller. What's the commission? Is it like a real estate agent where they get like 3% or what?
No, it's a very small amount.
What's a percentage, do you think?
I don't know exactly what ours is, and it varies from dealer to dealer. They all have different.
But is it under? Let's say it's under 5%. Could it be?
Oh yeah.
It's under 5%. So if a car sells for 20 grand, they're going to make anywhere from 3 to 4%.
Yeah, and it's a lot depends on the profit margin of the car when we sell a car.
Okay.
I mean, it's not paid normally on the sale amount of the car. It's paid on the profit margin.
Oh, how much profit the dealership makes.
Right.
So then the salesperson gets
a percentage of that. Normally.
Of the profit, not the general sales.
Right.
Okay.
And they usually have other incentives. All the dealers do. Different incentives because they're, like I say, they're not all alike.
Right. Is there usually a quota as to how many cars they have to sell a month to keep their job? I've heard that too.
Well, I wouldn't say there's a quota.
Okay.
But you know, if somebody only sells 2 or 3 cars in a month, you know, they're going to get a little pressure from the sales manager. But again, typically speaking, that doesn't never happen. I mean, it moves right along.
But that's hard to predict, though.
It is.
It's based on the economy. It's kind of like Ventura TV. You never can predict who's going to come in or when people are going to come in and buy a fridge or a washer and a dryer, we can be helpful and with a smile ask them what their needs are, but you really can't force somebody to buy.
Right, and nowadays looking for customers has changed a lot in the last few years. Now we do pretty much what they call prospecting.
I don't know what that means.
We look at our customers that are coming in for service work even, and we look at those customers, and we look at to see how long they've owned their cars, how many miles is on it, and maybe if they've had it 3 or 4 or 5 years, it's very likely those customers are about at that term where they would buy a new car or be interested in looking at a new car. So then we actually sometimes even contact those customers and ask them if they by chance, are looking at new vehicles. In the old days, that didn't happen. They didn't look at those customers.
So you kind of track customers
them
a little bit, don't you? You kind of track their habits. In other words,
we track their habits. I mean, as far as service goes, but like I say, it's a known fact. Customers keep cars a little bit longer now than they used to.
Yeah.
And it's getting up there in the 4 to 5 year range now, where customers trade in their cars or get rid of their car and get another one.
Is that right? I've had mine a little bit longer than that, so I guess I'm not the norm. I don't know. Anyway, we're talking with Steve Sweet of Kitahara Buick and GMC here in the city of Fresno. Been around a long time. Hey, that one previous caller, we're going to get back and talk about that extended warranty and whether or not they sell Regals anymore. We'll answer that question and much more. We have an open phone line, 436-MeTV, option 11. We're back here in just a moment.
A top secret location. It's the spies who love me, bringing together MeTV's top super spies to fight evil at a memorable moment's notice. They're daring.
That's right.
Brave.
Now what are we gonna do?
The best we can.
Suave.
Does that apply to me, Oscar?
Possibly.
And smart.
The old finger in the gun trick.
Maxwell Smart.
MeTV Fresno, channel 43.6 and Xfinity 187.
We get our speed from Mom and Dad. They do stuff super fast. And now they got this new kitchen, so they're even faster. So they can help us with our free throws.
The time-saving Frigidaire Gallery line with a quick preheat and smudge-proof stainless steel that resists fingerprints and cleans easily. It's mealtime in no time, from start to clean. Frigidaire Gallery.
Save more during Frigidaire Gallery bonus days when you buy 3 or more qualifying appliances. See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
We're back here on the program. Connect with me on MeTV Fresno on this Thursday morning, and happy to be talking about cars today. Caller, are you there? Still there?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Go ahead with your question.
Yeah, my question is, he's a service manager, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I just want to know, are you, your technicians, do you hire them off the street, or are you require them to get, training either at Fresno City, Reedy College, or, to be state certified? Because my daughter went to a dealership to get a car, and she bought one, and I'm not going to say the name of the place, but it's near Reedley. And I found out that the service techs, they're not even educated. They haven't gone to school, but somebody there carries the license so that they can do actual mechanic work. I just want to know if you guys do that kind of stuff.
Yes.
I think I put my answer out there.
No, that's a good question. And most dealerships, ours specifically, the techs are certified.
What do you have to do to be certified? What does that mean?
Well, there's a lot of...
In fact, can I interrupt you
sure.
just for a second? I apologize. I don't mean to be... I want you to continue your thought. I think we got some B-roll of the service department. We'll go ahead and roll that a little bit so we can look at your service and your technicians there. Go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry.
In hiring techs, most of the techs that we've hired, in fact, probably 90% of the ones we hired are actually factory certified with GM training. They've had GM training and GM certification, and as well as ASE training, which is a national certification program for GM dealerships and non-dealership technicians. All of our techs are certified. Several of them I do hire from colleges, right out of college, and most of the college education that the techs I hire go to like a 2-year term college. I've hired a few from Fresno City College, And the guys usually come out of there as very well-trained beginning techs.
Right, they're beginning techs, but what do they have to learn once they get there? Do they still have to be certified once they get there?
Yes, there's ongoing training. Even though when they come from Fresno City College, they already actually have a lot of the GM required training. Because Fresno City College is linked with GM for GM training specific.
Oh, it is?
It does have some of their courses, yes.
Oh.
So GM works with the college very closely. And GM donates a lot of the cars that they work on over there to the college.
Roll some more videotape from the service department, and I want to ask this email question here. Are the new cars easier to service nowadays and easier to service than they were back in the 90s because the cars are newer? And how many of these cars actually come from Detroit anymore? Two-part question.
Yeah, no, cars are easier to service as far as coming to service because there's less required maintenance on the cars nowadays.
That's with any car?
That's pretty much with all the car lines.
Huh.
Cars are pretty easy to service. Repairing the cars, as far as repair goes, is a lot more technical nowadays than it ever used to be.
A lot more technical, but easier.
Well, on the repair processes, it's not necessarily easier.
Okay.
Because of the technology. There's a lot more involved with disassembling an engine than there ever used to be.
Really?
Lot more moving parts in an engine than there ever used to be.
So more complex.
More complex.
More time consuming?
More time consuming in most instances.
Right.
And they have to go through a lot of training to learn how to do those jobs. Most of the technicians in dealerships nowadays, especially in the American car lines, the technicians are specialized. And a technician may only work on 2 or 3 areas of a vehicle. That's his specialty areas of a vehicle.
Oh, really?
The engine guys work, pretty much all they do is work on engines.
And I'll bet there's no crossover. If they work on Buicks and GMCs and GM cars, I'll bet they don't cross over and work on, say, a Mercedes or something like that.
Not normally.
They don't cross over.
Nope.
They stick to that brand or that model, right?
Right. They concentrate on the focus of what they do as a job.
Yeah. Yeah. And what do these technicians? We're looking at one right there. What's this gentleman's name here?
That's Chris, and he is one of our few guys that's trained in a lot of categories.
Okay.
He does everything from light engine repair work to electrical to drivability. He does a lot of different things. He's one of our guys that's pretty good all around. And like one of the few things that he doesn't work on is automatic transmissions.
Okay. He doesn't?
He doesn't. We have a guy that does nothing but that.
So you have technicians that are specialized in certain parts of what goes on under the hood. For example, you maybe have a radiator guy, a transmission guy, an engine guy, whatever, right? Okay. I've always wondered this. Do the American cars, or any cars for that matter, do they still run on spark plugs like in the old days?
Yes,
or
they
is
do.
it okay? But do you have to change those plugs as often, or do you change them at all?
No, the engines are so much more efficient than they ever used to be that spark plugs typically for most car lines nowadays don't have to be replaced till you get up to about 100,000 miles.
Okay, that's interesting.
In the old days, it was 12,000 miles.
Right, 12,000. So now you can go beyond 100,000 and still run on that plug and be good, huh?
Well, up to 100,000 miles is usually where they recommend replacing when you get close to 100.
How do you know if you need to replace them? Or does a check engine light go on or something?
Well,
or?
if one should foul, it will trip a check engine light on.
It will?
Yep, the computer systems are designed because of emissions, because if a cylinder quits firing and starts misfiring because the plug is fouled or worn to that point.
What causes that to misfire?
It's
just age?
It's just age. It could be the spark plug's going bad. It's so worn that the gap can't jump, or it's got some residue on the plug, and it's just carbon buildup and it may not fire.
Okay, got to take a break. Steve Sweet is here from Kitahara Buick GMC in Fresno, 436 MeTV option 11. A lot more to talk about, and we have an open line. We're back in a moment.
Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer. the first pulsator agitator washer. And now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
Ladies' Night was started in his honor. Barstools pulled themselves out for him. The only thing Chuck Norris is afraid of is her. Cheers is the most memorable bar in the world. You may not always watch comedy, but when you do, watch Cheers.
MeTV Fresno, channel 43.6 and Xfinity 187.
Back here with Steve Sweet, the service manager for Kit Tahara. Ever see those commercials on TV? Kit Tahara. Anyway, Steve, I want to ask you the second part of that email question. Do they still make cars in Detroit?
Yes, they still do.
A limited amount?
No, the majority of the majority of the GM cars are built in the United States.
And in Detroit?
Uh-huh.
Okay, but don't they have plants all over?
There are plants. They're in several states.
Including California, right? Or no?
I don't think they have a plant in California anymore.
Okay. Arizona? Maybe.
I'm not sure. I don't think so though.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly where the plants are actually all located at, but there's several plants.
Yeah, but Detroit, they're still making them.
Yeah.
All right. Amazing. Hey, caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes. Does Kit Car have a used car line?
Yes, I mean, we do carry used cars also. We sell probably 3 new cars to every 1 used car. But we always inventory probably anywhere from 40 to 60 cars, used cars on the lot.
What car is that? What SUV is that?
That's the Buick, that one right there. That's the Buick Encore.
Okay. All right.
It's
that's
the small
Encore.
SUV.
The small SUV. So you have 2 SUVs and 2 car lines, right?
Yep.
Okay. So they still make these cars in Detroit, some of them. What about, do you sell the Regal anymore?
You know, and the Regal, I believe, is being discontinued.
Okay.
You know, if sales isn't strong for a model for a few years,
it's gone.
They'll discontinue it. Yeah.
It's gone. Okay, let's get back to the extended warranty, because one of the callers brought that up. A good point. What does the extended warranty cover, and how much does it cost?
Wow, that's a really wide
well,
area to cover. But let's
from a general aspect of
there are many different extended warranty companies. Coverages vary from company to company, and every extended warranty company usually almost always has multiple coverage groups that you can. When you're buying one, you're buying a coverage of a certain group of items, basically.
Such as, give me an example.
Well, there's one that would cover just powertrain components.
Okay.
There's sometimes one that covers just the maintenance of the vehicle for 2-4 years, whatever.
Okay.
There's some that cover 90% of the car, basically. There is no extended warranty that covers that car completely from bumper to bumper.
Is that right?
There is no warranty that's like the factory OEM warranty.
All right. Generally speaking, what do these extended warranties cost? You don't have to give it to us to the penny, but give us a general sense.
Well, and again, it varies greatly depending on the coverage that you're purchasing.
Give us a range.
And the term length. But it would vary anywhere from usually $600 or $700 from the low end coverage, and it could go clear up into the $3,000 market for coverage.
We're looking at your dealership here in the video. How long has Kit Tahara been at this particular location over on Blackstone, I believe?
Yes, and I believe Larry Kit Tahara purchased it in about 1996.
Okay. All right. So that's quite a long time there. That's more than 15 years there.
Uh-huh.
That's well, wait a minute. That's almost 20 years.
It's getting up there. Yeah, 19 years almost, I think.
19 years, yeah. And prior to that, this lot was what? Herwalt?
It was a GM dealership before, owned by Herwalt before. And before that, on this same lot, it was actually a Datsun dealership.
Really?
Many, many years ago.
Really? So how many cars do you have on the lot right there?
We have approximately between 250 and 300 on the lot.
Wow, that's amazing. So when you have a limited line like this, you only have 2 SUVs, a smaller one and a bigger one, and then you have 2 cars to choose from. One is the LaCrosse and the other is what?
The Verano.
Verano.
But that's not including the GMC line also.
Okay, but you have a lot of cars and trucks on there. I mean, is it what's the difference between say one from the other? Is it color? Is it
well,
what?
Naturally, we stock what we sell the most of.
Which is what? What do you sell most of?
Probably the highest seller we have are the Sierra pickups, GMC Sierras.
Okay.
The half-ton pickups. We sell those more than any other vehicle that there is.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally, our highest inventory level is in the GMC pickups. I mean, we carry about every color that there is of most all models.
Is that what separates all those cars? Is it mainly the colors?
It's colors and the models, because even of each model line carries different types of options, packages. Nowadays, everything is packaged when you buy a vehicle. It's not like the old days where you could order specific items. On the old cars, you could do that. Nowadays, it's packaged.
Okay. Another call coming in. Good morning, caller. What's your question?
Okay, this is going to be maybe a tricky question, but at what point, once you bought a new vehicle, let's say whatever the make is, do you continue taking it to the dealership as to maybe having the repair done at a, privately owned shop, for cost effectiveness and everything else? I'll take my answer afterwards.
Okay.
And I'm assuming you're talking about once it's out of warranty, if you would take it somewhere else. Usually what I tell people is, if you want to take it somewhere else, that's totally up to you. But one thing to remember is there's nobody that knows that car better than the techs from the dealership, number one. So if anything's wrong with it, nobody knows it like we do. We get a lot of cars that come in out of warranty that have been to these independent shops for repairs where they're having a problem with their car. The shops charged them plenty of money, the independent shop has, and they still haven't found the problem, and they bring it to us, and we find the problem for far less than it would have cost them to have it fixed at an independent shop.
Right. Let's roll a videotape. I think we have more video of your service department, and let me ask you kind of I don't know if it's a touchy question, but I'm sure you've heard this over the year. You've been in the car business 30 years. There isn't anything you haven't heard. So do you ever have customers coming to me, well, how can I trust your service department? You work for a dealership. I'm sure you've heard that over the years. And your answer would be what?
Well, usually we don't have that big of an issue with trust.
Okay.
The biggest issue we usually have brought up to us usually is you guys got to be more expensive because you're a dealership.
Yeah.
Well, in some
guess
in some respects you could look at it that way and say we're more expensive. However, a lot of times when it comes to the repair process, it takes us less time to fix it. So our hourly rate, if you want to look at it that way, might be higher, but the time to fix it may be less.
Right.
So it wouldn't necessarily cost you more than having it fixed at an independent shop that may charge less per hour.
So how can you find a dealership or a service department that you can trust? What are some of the signs that you look for?
You can go online. You can look at reviews of the dealerships, and take your car in there one time. You don't even have to take your car in really, but you could go in and discuss maybe a repair or a service with one of the service consultants or myself. We'd be happy to talk to you about it. I mean, just get a feel for the people that you're dealing with. Trust doesn't always come naturally. You have to earn trust.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say I can just take it in there and trust them. But
I imagine from your vantage point, you're looking at it, well, listen, if you trust us enough to buy a car, why wouldn't you trust us enough to service your car? Is that your viewpoint?
Yeah.
Pretty much?
Pretty much so. You know, I mean, that's you know, there's not, like I say, there's nobody better that knows that car than we do. It's just, you know, there's some other things that go along to play with that same thing of servicing it with us, because if you do all your services with us, it doesn't necessarily cost you more. Our oil changes are, typically speaking, right in line with any of the quick lube places.
Yeah. And what do you think of some of the quick lube places? How are their, I know you work at Kit Tahara, and you're not speaking on behalf of others, but would you recommend, say, taking them to some of the quick Jiffy Lube type places, or?
Well, I don't usually recommend that at all, but that's mainly because they don't hire
the
well-trained technicians to do their work.
They don't have the technicians that you do.
Right.
In other words, they don't have the education in the technical field.
Yeah, by far there's a major difference.
Right. It's just kind of quick. Well, I mean, they have to have some experience or they wouldn't be working there, but they don't have the same level of experience that your workers do?
Correct.
Okay. We're talking with Steve Sweet. He is the service manager at Kit Tahara Buick and GMC. It's over there on Blackstone and, what is it? It's Barstow. I was going to say Sierra, but no, it's Barstow. Barstow and Blackstone, been there for a long time. Back with our show, 436, MeTV option 11. We do have an open line. Back in a moment.
This fall, there is a place, familiar and inviting, timeless and warm. MeTV, a place all your own that you can call home.
Hi, honey, I'm home.
This fall, home is where you'll find me.
You mean to tell me that's all there is to it?
That's all. MeTV Fresno, channel 43.6 and Xfinity 187.
Frigidaire. It means the first electric refrigerator. The first compact electric range. Now, there's the Frigidaire Gallery Range with Symmetry double ovens. It's designed to cook multiple dishes at multiple temperatures, so you can prepare the entire meal at the same time. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
We're back here on the program. Welcome to Connect with me on MeTV Fresno, and we're talking with Steve Sweet of the dealership called Kit Tahara Buick and GMC on Blackstone and Barstow. Carr, are you there?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. My question is, how does it feel about the automotive industry making vehicles now that can only be serviced at a dealership? I mean, Chrysler Jeep Eagle has coming out with vehicles with transmissions that can only be checked at the dealership. I mean, if you want to do something at home, it just can't be done. And I think that's the way of the future, where you can no longer just do your own thing at your home, even to say a simple oil change. I just want to know what he feels about it. Is that better for the industry? Is that better for the vehicle? Would make them last longer?
Is that the wave of the future, in other words, Steve?
I don't know that those vehicles, I'm not that familiar with those vehicles 100%, but most of those vehicles, and we sell some vehicles too that don't have, as an example, the automatic transmissions don't have a dipstick to check the fluid level in. They have to be checked. The computer pretty much checks it, but it has such a long term on the oil life in that transmission that it doesn't really have to be checked unless it has a leak. And that's the way they look at it.
Does it ever have to be changed out?
Well, not as frequently as they used to. Most of the GM products now have a recommended transmission fluid replacement between 50,000 and 100,000.
Okay.
So that's usually depending on the make and model.
I think that's with most cars, though, isn't it?
Most of them have gone that way, and that's why they've kind of done away. A lot of them have done away with dipsticks to check the fluids.
Yeah, I know mine still has a dipstick to check both the oil, the regular oil. And by the way, speaking of which, let's roll some more videotape. I know we have that. How often now, with these new cars and the new technology and the onboard computers and all that stuff, the chips, how often do you change your oil? Recommended.
Well, all of the GM models nowadays have the oil life monitoring system, which keeps track of how you drive, plus the mileage, the temperatures that it's being driven in, and it calculates all this together. And now the vehicles, I'll tell you when they need to be changed. And most of the time it comes up to say that the oil needs changed somewhere between 5,000 and 8,000 miles.
Wow. In the old days, it was like 2,000 to 3,000.
Yep.
Why? Why the change now?
Quality of the oil's gotten better, number one. And the filters have gotten better over time. And the product quality of building the engines, the tolerances inside have gotten a lot closer. Friction has become a lot less inside the engines. And so there's less wear material that's going through the engine.
Yeah.
So it makes the oil last longer.
Does it ruin the warranty if someone buys a new car and they change the oil themselves in their own driveway?
No, it does not void the warranty. The best thing to recommend to them, though, is to keep track of that. And if you have the owner's manual, be sure and write it somewhere in there so that you monitor when you change the oil and filter in there if you're doing it yourself.
And if you buy a new car, don't you have to make that first oil change a little bit sooner?
No, not nowadays. There's no break-in oil in the engines nowadays.
Oh, there is no break-in oil?
No.
Oh, okay. Oil change or anything.
They come with the same oil that's going to be put back in it.
Wow, so for the first 8,000 miles, don't worry about it.
No.
Wow, amazing. Hey, here's an email question, and I think I know the answer to this, but I'll bleep it out anyway, okay, Steve? Didn't Kitahara get its start in Sanger, or near Sanger, some 30 years ago?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
The answer to that is no. Another email question is, what's the deal with airbags? That's a general question, but we know the airbag situation with, what is it? Is it Honda?
Yeah,
Honda has a problem with airbags, and they're being sued, and you've had some people die.
There was a recall on some airbags.
And the CEO of Honda didn't want to recall some of those cars. He testified before Congress, as I recall. Don't know all the details, but so what's the deal with airbags? Are they safe or what?
Well, 99.9% are safe. The one that they're looking at is basically a specific model of an airbag that was used in several different cars, including, and there was a couple cars in that model line also that used a couple of GM models that even used it, which were Pontiac Vibes, I believe, for 2 years. Those two GM cars, 2 years of GM cars had that same airbag.
That same airbag that Honda has now, that they're recalling?
That Honda has in them.
Yeah.
Now, there weren't a whole lot of those cars sold, but, those customers will get recall letters and probably already have. And they just bring them in, and the dealerships will replace them.
Just to change them out to a different brand, then?
Yeah, well, and they have, a lot of times there's production dates. This is what people don't really understand in these recalls, is when a customer thinks that his vehicle should be under the recall, but he hasn't got a letter, it's because the manufacturers monitor serial numbers of all the parts that are put in them. And a lot of times the recall is only because a group of a certain part was defective between a serial number and another serial number, and they know which cars have them. So they send the recall letters to those cars.
Wow. And so how old should a person be before they ride in the front seat and they're exposed to a potential airbag?
Well, children under 12 really are supposed to be kept in the back seat, depending on their size. And the government pretty much sets those limits. I don't know exactly what they are nowadays.
So general rule of thumb is under the age of 12, and depending on the size. I mean, if I have a 13-year-old and he's bigger than I am.
Right, he could sit in the front seat.
He could sit in the front seat, no problem. But so what is an airbag designed to do?
Well, an airbag is really designed as a supplemental restraint system. In other words, that means that the seatbelt is the primary
protection
restraint, right? Yeah. Protection. The airbag is a secondary. So
when does an airbag become dangerous?
Well, an airbag is never intended to be dangerous, and it's really not dangerous. I mean, and they tell you a lot of times, try not to scoot your seat up to where you're sitting right next to the steering wheel, because the force of an airbag deployment is pretty strong. I mean, it's just a bag, a really thin bag that's in there that basically explodes out to cushion your impact so you don't hit the steering wheel.
Yeah.
But it's, again, it's a supplement. And
but if
they
it
don't
comes
go
out
off.
prematurely, it can hurt you.
Yes, and that's extremely rare that ever would happen.
Yeah. Is that what's happening at Honda? Is that part of the problem? It's coming out prematurely, or
no?
or
The situation with that airbag recall is the fact that the retainer that holds the airbag in there, there's pieces of it that fly off of the metal.
Yeah.
So shrapnel flies off occasionally when the airbag
it's almost
deploys.
like a bomb.
Yeah, it makes it look like it's kind of a bomb, and that's how that one person was killed in that one vehicle that they were showing everybody.
Boy, that's amazing. All right, Steve Sweet is here. He is the service manager over there at Kit Tahara, Buick and GMC, 436 MeTV option 11. We're back with our remaining moments here with Steve Sweet in just a momento.
It's almost time.
Now we'll find out once and for all about Clark Kent and Superman.
Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's a TV show.
Yes, but who is he? What's his name?
He's Superman.
Golly, Clark, won't that be wonderful seeing Superman?
Fighting a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and television the MeTV way.
No one can do the things that Superman does.
The adventures of Superman.
Now on MeTV Fresno, Xfinity 187.
Frigidaire. It means the first refrigerator. It means a history of innovations that help make your home life better. And now we introduce the new Frigidaire French door refrigerator with over 100 ways to organize for maximum flexibility. Built with adjustable flip-up and slide-under shelving and stackable crisper drawers. It's the refrigerator that flexes to fit it all, no matter what your day will bring. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
Back here with Steve Sweet from Kit Tahara. And Steve, what is supposed to trigger an airbag from going off?
Well, the airbags are actually computer controlled also by a system of a lot of sensors that are on the vehicle, and it's based on the impact and the direction of the impact that actually determines whether an airbag is deployed or not.
I see.
It takes a pretty severe crash. Cars have what they call crumple zones built into them, designed into the car, so that if a car runs into something, it's designed to crush, to take a lot of the impact out up to a point. If it's very severe beyond that crush zone, the airbags deploy. So a lot of people complain that, oh, my airbag didn't deploy and I was in an accident. But it's because it wasn't a severe enough of an accident, of an impact, to deploy the airbags.
I see. So there's a certain limit that depending on the size of the collision, the force of the crash.
Yeah.
Are they designed to go off if somebody broadsides you?
Some cars have side airbags.
Okay.
In cars that don't have side airbags, most of the time those airbags will not deploy because there's no effect, there's no protection from a side impact with an airbag that's just in the front.
Unless you have side airbags.
Right.
Do most cars have side airbags now?
A lot of them do.
Do yours?
Most of them.
Most of them do, including the SUVs, huh? And the trucks?
Yeah, they have actually optional airbag. A lot of the vehicle lines, not just GM, but even have option packages where you can buy a package that has
side
even
airbags.
Additional airbags. Yeah.
Oh, really? But you have to pay extra for that.
Right, some of them you have to pay extra for.
I'm sure it is. Okay, roll another piece of videotape here. How is it that Kit Tahara has stayed in business for almost 19 years now?
19 years almost. Yeah, I'd say.
Why? What's the trade secret? Because, the car industry has changed. Obviously, in the last 20 years, it has changed so much with technology, the types of cars that are coming out, the American market trying to compete with the Japanese cars. How is and just selling domestic cars can't be easy when you're competing against Honda and Toyota and what other cars are out there that are foreign? Nissan. I can't think of any others.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of car lines. Of course, like I say, when this economy took a turn, a lot of the car lines went away. But still, I mean...
but what's the trade secret over there at Kit Tahara, do you think?
The trade secret is just treating people how they want to be treated, and selling them a quality product for a reasonable price. And when it comes to the service side of it, we just try to take care of the customer the best we can.
It sounds simplistic. Is it really that simple?
It really is that simple.
Really?
I mean, if you take care of the customer how you want to be treated, you know, everybody's going to be happy and going to trust where they're going.
Yeah, they're going to trust you.
Right, and if you keep the customer happy, and this is a known thing, if you keep the customer happy servicing their vehicle, that customer's going to buy another vehicle from you.
If you don't try to deceive them or tell them something that's not true about what's going on with their car, they're going to come back. They're going to know it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the whole thing of trust.
Yeah. Is being honest and upfront with the customer.
Being honest, upfront, and earning their trust.
Yeah. You know what I've never been able to figure out? I'm not going to mention the dealership again. I don't want to get in trouble here, but I know that some dealerships here in Fresno, I've been in Fresno since '96. So I know that there are some dealerships here in town that have been accused. In fact, some have been sued over deception in the service department and this and that. And gosh, they go through these lawsuits and it doesn't bother. They just keep going and going. I mean, how is it that some dealerships or some places can deceive the public and still stay in business? I don't understand that. I don't get that. I know you guys don't do that there, but I mean, it's always baffled me. Why would anybody want to go back there after that negative type of publicity?
Right. Well, I think they have to make some changes. There's no doubt about it. But why people would go back there, especially if they had heard that or seen that or were involved in that,
yeah,
I would.
It's kind of baffling, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a little bit baffling why they would. But again, you know, it's hard to say why they do.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
A lot of it also, you know, involves, you know, convenience. You know, maybe it's the only dealership around that sells those products close by, and they don't want to travel to go somewhere else. So,
is there pressure in the car business to sell? Is there a lot of pressure? Because, I mean, how else are you going to stay in business? You got to sell cars, or is it okay if we sell, we sell. If we don't, there'll come a time when people are going to come in and buy cars.
Yeah,
in other words, how's the attitude?
Right. We don't pressure our salesmen to sell anything. I mean, whether it's the service advisors or the salesmen themselves, it's their job to show the customer what they're looking for, show them features, show them ideas, talk price with them, you know, and make the sale based on just good judgment.
Who's your clientele, mainly? Is it middle to upper class or what?
Ours is, well, I wouldn't even say that. We've came out with some lower car lines now, like the Buick Verano. You know, there are some lower car lines that are less expensive to help get some of these, you know, younger buyers, for first-time buyers.
Yeah, first-time buyers.
Buy a new car, and that's, and you know, we
I've got two kids. I don't. I dread the day we're going to go over and buy the car for the first time. Oh my God! So what would you recommend? Say an 18 or 19-year, you know, you're going to buy your son or your daughter a car. Would you recommend a used or a new car? Because you know how kids are. They get their license, and all of a sudden they think they're Mario Andretti.
Well, I mean, that all depends on what their expectations are for how much money they want to spend.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's, but typically speaking, I mean, when my kids grew up and my kids got their driver's licenses, yeah, we bought them both used cars.
Yeah, to start with.
Yep, to start with. And of course, that was their starting point in the cars that we gave them. And from there, they grew up.
And that's a good starting point because you don't spoil them that way either.
Well, true.
With a new car.
Yeah, and it cost me way less.
And it cost you way less. And just go over to Kit Tahara and they'll take care of you. Hey, Steve, we're out of time, sadly. Okay. The hour, you were wondering how we're going to fill an hour. We could go another hour, right?
Yeah, it was no problem at all. It lasted an hour.
All right. Steve Sweet, thank you for your time. Happy New Year to you.
Yep, thank you. Happy New Year.
Tell Larry we said hello. All right. Steve Sweet of Kit Tahara, Buick and GMC is the service manager over there. Get over there and see him. Kit Tahara is located at Blackstone and Barstow. Back with another edition of Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno tomorrow. We're going to talk about a haunted house. That's right, a haunted house here on Connect with Me. See you tomorrow. Have a good day.